morning, everybody. I apologize, I cannot speak Spanish, so the speech will be held in English. Before sharing with you some of the trends in private market that we have been able to observe both at global level and in the Italian market, let me first briefly introduce Prometeia. Prometeia is a full-fledged consulting company based in Italy, but with activities in Europe and in Mediterranean countries. Established 50 years ago, it currently employs more than 1,000 professionals, fully devoted to support and work with financial institutions, bank, insurance companies, asset managers, and institutional investors. We support our clients through pure consulting, IT solutions that we develop by ourselves, and data provision. We are providing data to a vast number of banks in Italy and Europe, referring to performance, compliance, risk, and sustainability. More in particular, starting early 2000, so about 25 years ago, we started in the company to work and support, to work with asset managers, helping them to identify growth opportunities and developing opportunities in the Italian market. We started with public markets, of course, and after the Lehman crisis, so 2008, 2009, investors in Italy began to shift assets from hedge funds and structured notes to private market funds. So we started working also in private markets field. Thank you. That was the introduction about the company right at this point, and this how we currently support asset managers. As I said, 25 years ago we started. Now the very large part of our support is focused on private markets, focused on ESG and IT solutions to asset managers. And we support them across a vast number of activities. So business information, market insights, business intelligence, sustainability for sure is the buzzword together with private markets of these years. Doing a lot of activities on that, and of course, artificial intelligence is a tool that we are going to use and developing for both for ourselves to speed up part of our activities and also for our customers. Okay, one last slide about the company. I mentioned before that we do a lot of activities in private markets with asset managers. That's a high-level, a bird's-eye view of our last recent project. Over the last 3 years, we have been working with more than 50 private market asset managers, both international and Italian one. The very large international players you are definitely familiar with, as well as with small boutique players. So a very comprehensive set of activities that give us a very deep sense of what's going on in the market and what GPs needs to be successful in the market. So as you can see, it goes from strategy, so how an asset manager should position in the market to be able to raise more money. We support some managers to draft and to design a product, a private market product for being distributed by banks. Just to give you a sense, while institutional investors are being long-term investors, private banks just started in the last 10 years. So we've been supported some of them in adding private market funds into their catalog and working with asset managers to design a proper solution for them. Okay, I don't want to spend too much time about introducing the company. More than happy to catch up with you later if you like. I want to share with you some of the trends we see in the global markets, private markets world. As we all know, the market is really booming in the last years, both in absolute terms and relative terms. So from in absolute terms, the assets under management globally, starting in 2011, where this chart starts, rise quite a lot. They grow 4 times. And in relative terms, if you compare the assets allocated to private markets to the global assets managed in in managed solution, could be UCITS and private market, they basically doubled. So now represent slightly more than 10% of the overall AUM of funds and mandates globally. Looking forward, the trend is expected to definitely continue. There is a strong appetite coming both from institutional investors across the globe, but also from individual investors. In Italy, we have already witnessed that, and I'm sure in Spain, I heard that is pretty much the same. And they will continue. They will continue, and the expected growth is a double-digit annual growth for the next 5 or 4 years. So very strong demand coming from the market. Why that? We all experienced what happened in the market in the last years, low rates in the bond market. The equity market were quite bullish, so the investors want to diversify the risk. We're looking for alternative source of alpha and alternative source of beta also in some cases. So basically there was a need to diversify the risk and take exposure to different sources of risk. So if we look at the last 10 years, private markets across all the different flavors that private markets can have, could be private equity, VC, real asset, real estate and infrastructure, private debt. They've been really able to deliver good returns, something in the range between 5 and 15% on an annual basis. That was quite interesting, as you can imagine, for investors. And in some cases, they've been also able to provide a diversification benefit. Not in all cases, as you can see from the correlation matrix on the right chart, on the right part of the slide. Some asset classes are more correlated than others to public markets, but again, there is some diversification benefit that investors experience in the last 10 years. Let's focus on the fundraising activities at global level. There are some differences if we look at global fundraising activities or just the funds that are focused on the European market. Globally, the private market offer in fundraising is definitely larger. Just think about the US market, but also the Asian market to some extent. The Chinese market is definitely quite active in private equity and VC. While in the European market, the focus is a little bit more evenly split between the different asset classes. And private debt is really an hot topic. Infrastructure, again, is another very hot topic. So there are some nuance that, according to the geography of the investors and according to the geography of the asset manager, we can detect. Few numbers about the Italian market. The Italian market, if we put together the institutional side, so pension funds, no-profit organization like the banking foundation, the insurance companies, of course. So what we call the institutional market is worth overall slightly less than 1 trillion euro. If we add also the private banking, then we reach about 2.5 trillion euro. So that's the overall size of the market. And we have highlighted in green the part of the wealth that is allocated to private market solutions. That's account about 0.1 trillion euro. That, in relative terms, is roughly 4%. But with some difference, some significant differences between the two parts of the market. Institutional investors, as mentioned before, they've been investing in these assets for a long time. Pension funds started 5-6 years ago, so they are gradually catching up with the other institutional investors. Private banking, as I said before, they began basically 10 years ago, and there's still a lot of room for further increase as long as private assets represent just 1% of the market. And there is also differences in terms of asset allocation. Institutional investors have been historically allocating to real assets, real estates in particular. Gradually, if we just focus on the last 3-4 years, the flows have been more directed to private equity. Private banking more focused on more split between the asset class. Private debt was definitely very much in demand in the last 3 years. And also from a geographical point of view and from the vehicle point of view, there are some differences. Institutional investors are more happy to invest in pooled funds, while so far private banking has preferred the bespoke solution. That means a fund that the asset manager, that the GP launched just for that distributor. So it's an exclusive distribution, exclusive fund, even though things are slightly changing. I speed up a bit, but if you want, I'm more than happy to provide you more details during the lunch. The outlook, we've seen backward-looking data, what is expected in the future. Every quarter we carry out a survey to about 100 institutional investors asking their asset allocation view in the next 12 months. So there's still a positive attitude towards private market. As you can see, there's about 40%, 20% of investors that are willing to increase their exposure to private markets. So the positive momentum is still here. And also, if you look at the private banking, again, in this case, is an annual survey we take. The incidence of private markets is expected to double in the next 3 years. So that's expected a lot of activities done by banks and FA to raise money in this space. And again, private equity and infrastructure, like we have seen before for institutional, are expected to be one of the most sought after strategies for individual investors. Not only bespoke solution, as mentioned before, but we're seeing more and more interest for evergreen funds. So not the typical closed-end funds, but the evergreen or semi-open structure. You know that can offer some liquidity windows over the lifespan of the product, and also bespoke solution will continue to stay in the market, but also the pool solution will be more and more relevant for the distributors, because they do want to offer their clients a broader pool of investment solution, more diversified by vintage, by manager, by strategy, and by geography. So there's a lot of activities taking place in the Italian market. Okay, in the 2 minutes that is left for my speech, let me give you an high-level view of what we provide to LPs and GPs. We support them when it comes to private market across a number of activities. For sure, we help let's say LPs in understanding what are the opportunities in the market and to map the offer. You know, when it comes to private markets, it's very difficult to have a clear understanding of the available offer because it's private information. So I cannot go to Bloomberg and find what's going on in the market. So that's something that we definitely do. We help also asset managers in understanding where are the most relevant opportunities for them in terms of business opportunities and to raise assets. Part of our company is also support in the due diligence process for investors that want to outsource this part of the activity. We have a long experience in that. And another relevant part is portfolio monitoring and risk management and valuation. So in this case, we have both a digital platform that can help both investors, as human investors, or it could be insurance companies and institutional investors, banks. When they distribute or where they invested in maybe 100 funds, it's very difficult to collect all the information, clean the information, and have a single view on how the portfolio is performing, to be able to slice and dice the numbers and to have a single source of truth in terms of performance and allocation. That's something that can be done through our digital platform. And also, with regard to ESG, we have solutions in order to streamline the production of the SFDR reporting for private market funds, or the the analysis, the assessment of the climate risk. That is something that we see that more and more institutional investors are requiring, not only to public market asset managers, but also to private market investors. One last slide about the asset management insights platform. We launched this platform 5-6 years ago in order to speed up, let's say, facilitate the activities of sales that were willing to know, to have information, very detailed information about how institutional investors are allocating their portfolios. So there's a wealth of data that allow you to slice and dice the single portfolio, so you can type the name of an investor and have all the details about their investments in private market solution, for example. We added a part related to distribution, and then we have also a dedicated and bespoke section focused on private markets. So all in all, we handle more than 50 million data points. And maybe one last thing that I want to highlight, and that the private market solution, beyond offering GPs the information about portfolios and investment carried out by investors, is also a place where GPs and LPs can match. GPs can upload information about the product they are currently fundraising, and LPs can access the platform in order to see what's going on in the market, what are the funds in fundraising. And that's a very helpful tool that is used by a vast number of LPs in Italy, but we have also, for example, family offices in Switzerland and in Spain using this platform. And that really speed up the very first mile of their fund selection activities. So they have filtered, they can say, okay, I'm looking for a private equity fund that has to be in fundraising. I want it Article 8 SFDR. I want it with, I don't know, size, target size between what you like, 200 million, 500 million. Okay, I can add all these filters to my search, and I have the list of all the funds matching these criteria. So that really speed up the activities for the first activity for fund selector in order to have a coherent pool of funds on which they can start the due diligence process. I think I ran out of time. Thank you for your attention, and thanks to Epica for the invitation.